It's time for Radio Unfriendly. Hey everybody, how's it going out there? You are listening to Radio Unfriendly. I am your host, Steve.
And I am your host, Scott. And this is the music podcast where we bring you music that we think you should be listening to that you are unlikely, though, to find on the radio.
That's right. We've got some awesome stuff for you. And we're trying out a little new format here. Hopefully this works out. Not really a new format, just the way we're recording it, but it should be interesting. So how's everything been going? How's the remodel going?
Man, it's good. It's going along. I kind of live in one little room in my house right now. It's like having a studio apartment again.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember when you guys, you and Chelsea were childless and living in that. Actually, I don't think it was a studio. It was at least a one bedroom.
Yeah.
But that house, that apartment up in, it was in. Oh man, where was that at? It was.
It was in Ballard.
Ballard's the word I'm looking for.
That came up the other day because it was a really old apartment building, and it had the little ice box, like where people delivered ice through the hall outside, and then inside it was all like this insulated area, and that's what people used as their refrigerator back in the day.
Nice. Man, there was some memories from that little apartment. That's where we recorded a bunch of the acoustic Otisburg stuff.
Yeah.
We're goofing around with.
Well, what about you? What's going on over on your side there?
Oh man, I mean just work, and we're still looking for land. I think we actually decided that we are going to wait until spring.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to wait for the interest rates to go down.
There's also probably more available then, I would think.
Yeah, probably. And then that'll also give us time to save more money for like down payment and stuff like that. And
yeah. It's
adulting, right?
Adulting,
right. Yeah. So we're living on this like little 1 acre plot in this kind of tiny part of Michigan. But it's not terribly far from like Grand Rapids, and there's another town closer to us called Muskegon that's fairly large. Not as large as Grand Rapids, but it's pretty nice. So that, and then podcasting, doing my Rogue One Radio podcast, and been trying to do some reading. I've been listening to a bunch of audiobooks lately.
Cool.
I don't have time to read, like to just sit and read. But when I'm at work, I've got a lot of time where I'm just like doing mindless repetitive tasks, so I can just like listen to an audiobook and do my work and that sort of thing.
Oh, that's cool. I've tried that before myself, but even when I'm doing like mindless stuff, I somehow I can't focus on the audiobook and do something else.
Well, sometimes I will lose focus on the book when I'm listening, so I'll like, okay, let me rewind a little bit and go back to what was going on. But that's so cool. So I did want to mention something new happened with Radio Unfriendly this week. We actually have not recorded in a while, have we?
I think it's been over a month now.
It's been a while.
Sadly.
Yeah,
too much adulting getting in the way.
Yeah, exactly. There's just too much stuff going on. I'm looking for the last time we recorded. Last one, it was August 8th.
Oh god.
Man, we definitely need to try to record more often.
All right, we got to pick up the pace here.
But what I was going to mention is something new is Radio Unfriendly was added to the Red 5 network. Red 5 is a podcast network that my other podcast, Rogue One Radio, is on. And it's basically a pop culture podcast network where, I mean, there's just a lot going on. There's like a lot of Star Wars based podcasts, and then just a lot of like movie review podcasts and gaming podcasts, and there's just a lot of podcasts this with a lot of different pop culture subject matter. And we were asked if we wanted to add this podcast to the network. So I was like,
oh, so cool.
Why not?
Thanks to them. Like, it's great to be part of that. Glad to have it.
It's a really cool network. I've been with them with Rogue One Radio. I've been with them for, man, I don't know. I want to say like 2 years, but maybe it hasn't even been that long. It's been at least a year. I know it's been at least a year, but probably more. But a lot of really good people there. Cool people. Kind of like a family. They have this convention that they've been doing every year called ScarifCon. And I went there kind of toward the end of July. It was in Chicago because the guys who run the network are based out of Chicago, or they live in Chicago. So not too far from me. I've actually, since I've moved here, I've been to Chicago 4 times, I think. It's
your new home away from home.
Basically, yeah. It's really nice to be able to go there more often. Because like when I was growing up, we went to that area like every summer, and then, you know, when I started and got out of high school and stopped living with the folks and whatnot, I just never got around to going there as often as I'd like.
Yeah, I need to go over there this summer.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we should meet up. If you can get off Labor Day next year, there is a music festival that happens every Labor Day week. Well, wait a minute, that's not Labor Day weekend. No, it's like the middle of September. And I'm actually going to talk about that a little bit later. Because this episode, we are going to be talking about locations. That is, venues in the music world, the different venues, and some of our favorite venues, like not necessarily just specific venues, but some of our favorite types of venues to watch shows at and that sort of thing. So we're going to be talking about that. That's going to be a lot of fun, I think.
Maybe some least favorites too.
Yes. I definitely have a few of those. There are a few specific venues that, as a performer, one of those places where you go and play and like, I'm never playing there again. there have been. Yeah. So why don't we go ahead and jump into our first song? And because this is all about music, let's play some music.
Let's do it. Let's just play it.
Let's just do it. Go ahead and introduce the first one.
All right. Your first song to lead us off here is by TV Cult out of Germany. It's called Hong Kong Song.
Never leave.
That was TV Cult from Cologne, Germany, with Hong Kong Song. Mostly chose that because I love that bass tone, just that nasty, gnarly bass tone in there.
Yeah.
But I like the rest of it too. So that just
Yeah.
came out too. That came out on the 23rd of September there.
And what's what was the album that came out?
I think it's called EP. It's got a funny title.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be checking that one out. I really liked that. I liked the raw, old school feel.
Yeah.
I really got vibes of like Keith Morris and Iggy Pop.
I can see that. I can see the Iggy Pop for sure, and the Keith Morris. Yeah.
Yeah. The Keith Morris is what kind of popped out at first, but as the song progressed, I'm like, man, I'm really getting a Stooges vibe off of this.
Yeah.
Really liking the background vocals in this one.
Yeah, what's with that? They got like a really deep guy in there, right?
Yeah.
Makes it
Man, I
unique.
really liked that. I'm definitely going to be checking out the rest of that EP, and you folks should as well. It's really great. Awesome, fun stuff. So the first song that I picked is from a band out of Austin, Texas called Mugger. And they released I think it's an EP. I'm pretty sure it's an EP, and it's just called Demo 2022. And it was released June 10th, 2022. And the name of the song is Dear SCOTUS. So here it is.
Gotta work, gotta eat, or at least slam some coke or crack or whatever the hell it is that keeps her going.
Wow. That's
all right.
good.
Yeah, that was Mugger with Dear SCOTUS.
Oh gosh, I love it. The riff. That I don't know if you call that a riff, but that discordant little riff there. So
yeah, you can call that a riff. Yeah, I really the vocals, like a lot of people just don't like that type of vocal style, and I can understand why they wouldn't, but it's all in like the delivery, I think. In like you can have like quote unquote a bad vocalist, but if they deliver it a certain way, it just makes the song, gives the song that extra oomph.
I think this song, it's a great, good topic for our times, right? But the
definitely.
I think there's some real feels behind that. I think that's like what's so good about this.
Yeah, that is a very good point. It's like when you listen to a song and you know that there's meaning behind it, and that these people are very passionate about what they're talking about. And I mean, if you're not getting the gist of the song, this was a song about the recent Supreme Court ruling regarding reproductive rights. So they have, they obviously have a certain feel about that, and the passion really comes through in the song, and that's really a lot of bands, that really helps move the music along as well when you can hear the feeling behind it.
Another thing I noticed about this, it says hardcore punk from ATX, and I guess ATX is Austin, Texas. I'd never seen
Right.
the ATX thing before, but Austin definitely has a lot going on. Not so much of a punk scene, at least that we hear about. I bet you they have a lot going on there locally, but I'd like to hear more for sure.
Yeah, Austin is a pretty good music scene. That's where they do the. I don't know if they're still doing it since COVID, but the South by Southwest
Yeah,
festival, that's a
Riot
big
Fest.
thing down there.
It's huge.
So speaking of festivals, that is a venue that a lot of music takes place at. I actually just got back from a festival just a couple of weeks ago. I went to Riot Fest.
Yeah, I've been eager to hear your
Um,
report on this. I mean, the
yeah,
lineup was just, I mean, the
it,
bill was just stacked. Did you go
it
all
was.
3 days or two?
No, I just went the first two.
Okay.
So this was my second time at Riot Fest, but my first at Chicago. Because if you remember, Riot Fest used to travel.
Yeah.
They used to go to different locations. And back in 2012, Dave Brown, aka Oklahoma Lefty, and myself went to the Riot Fest in Dallas. And it wasn't as huge a lineup. We didn't even stay for the headlining act because it was actually only one day. Like Riot Fest is typically 3 days, but I think when it traveled, it might have only been a 1 day thing. At least when it came to Dallas, it was only 1 day. But we didn't stay, unfortunately, for the headlining act because we really wanted to beat traffic. And it was a weird day because I was ill, like physically ill all day. But I was like, I'm going. I don't care. I don't care if I'm sick. I'm going to Riot Fest. But there were
Dude,
some good bands.
Dallas traffic is the worst.
It really
I don't
is.
know
It's
what they got
horrible.
going on down there.
It's
They need to
horrible.
figure that out.
Yeah. But we saw, like, the bands that I remember from then were Descendants, Teenage Bottle Rocket, NoFX, the Gaslight Anthem.
I'd love to see those first two.
And then the headlining act was Rise Against, which I really wish we would have stayed, but I mean, we had to try to beat the traffic because it was horrible.
Yeah.
And
That's a Chicago band there, Rise Against.
That's right. Yeah, I've never seen Rise Against, and I really want to. But so this past just a few weeks ago, I went to Riot Fest in Chicago, and I went Friday and Saturday, and it was a really awesome. It was a really awesome lineup. Go through some of the bands here. I'm pulling up the lineup. Like on Friday, like the headliner for Friday was My Chemical Romance, which let me mention something about them. I've never been a huge fan of My Chemical Romance. I had heard a few songs by them, and I was just like, they're just not my thing, not really my thing. And really the reason that we went to Riot Fest was my youngest, Jay, really wanted to see My Chemical Romance because they are, it's like their favorite band. Mm-hmm. And they never got to see them. They didn't get into them until like right about the time they broke up, or even after. So they never got to see him.
Yeah, they
And
weren't
heard
together that long, right? Like this, I feel like it was like 5 years and then that was it.
Yeah, but they were huge. They were so
Oh, yeah.
huge. So that was the reason we even went to Riot Fest, was because they wanted to see My Chemical Romance, and I was like, okay, there's a lot of bands there I'd like to see too. So we went, and they were the headliner Friday night. And I've been telling people, it's amazing what a live performance will do to change your opinion of a band. Because they're really not that bad. I really enjoyed their set. They had some really cool stuff.
That's cool.
It was pretty good.
One thing I want to mention, because this is more in the popular conscious lately. So, that Netflix show, The Umbrella Academy? Did you ever watch that?
I have been watching it, but I actually didn't start watching it until after Riot Fest, because Jay was telling me about it, and they were like the lead singer of My Chemical Romance wrote that, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
That's right.
So I did start watching it, but I'm not done with the first season yet.
Yeah. We'll have to not digress too far onto that topic, but I just think that's interesting. Is like, he's such a creative dude.
He really is.
Like you, I'm not a big My Chemical Romance fan, but I do respect that. He's very creative.
Yeah, it was good. So I'll tell you some of the bands that I remember from Friday. There was a band called Sparta that was pretty good. And I didn't know I didn't know who they were prior to that, and I haven't really listened to any of their stuff after the fact.
Do you know now about Sparta?
No, I don't. I still know nothing about Sparta except what I saw at Riot Fest, and I'm like, this is pretty good.
Okay, now so stick with me just for a second. Do you know the band the Mars Volta?
I do. I'm not a fan, but I do know who they are.
Yeah, so both Sparta and the Mars Volta, they're like the two halves of a prior band.
Okay.
And the prior band that spawned these two, and they sound totally different, by the way, but the band that they came from had components of both at the drive-in. You remember At the Drive-In?
Oh, I do remember them. Okay.
Yeah, so that's where Sparta comes from.
Okay.
Which it's just crazy, right? Like, here's like all these great musicians. Yeah. They're both very experimental in different ways. It blows my mind that much talent is out there.
That's cool. Yeah, that's interesting. Another band that I saw while I was there, this is the first time I'd ever seen this band. I was really glad that I finally got to see them. Lagwagon.
Oh, right on. What?
Man,
that's Joey Cape, right?
Yeah, they put on such a good show. That was so good. I can't wait to see them again.
I'd love to see Lagwagon. That's so awesome.
That was such a great set. It was so good.
When I was in like high school and college, everybody was like, "Oh, you got to listen to Lagwagon."
Yeah, good stuff. The Descendants played that day, and they did not disappoint.
Was it a Milo and everybody?
Yeah, I mean, the Descendants. If Milo's not in it, it's not called the Descendants.
It's not called Descendants.
It's all. So this was the Descendants, and they were great. They never disappoint. I've seen them so many times.
Sorry, I don't know if it's Steven or Stefan Egerton there.
Stefan, yeah. Oh yeah, he was there.
Oh, awesome.
So that was good. Taking Back Sunday played, and I don't know if you're a fan of theirs, but they're like one of those bands.
I went through that phase. Gosh, must have been like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, I went through kind of all those bands for a while. Yeah. But I never really stuck.
Well, they're like one of those bands that like, I'm not really into that type of music, but I like this particular band.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So I'd never seen them live, and that they put on a good show. That was a good show. Another band that I'd never seen before and finally got to see was Alkaline Trio.
Oh, that's cool.
That was they put on a good set.
Isn't the I feel like the singer for Alkaline Trio was recently playing in Blink 182.
He did. He replaced their guitar player. That's right.
Yeah, the one that got weird and is
yeah.
into aliens and stuff.
So Saturday, the first band that I saw that morning, or I guess that was early afternoon, was Fear. You remember Fear?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
not like I was around. I was a little kid when
right.
Fear was being Fear. It's not like I'm that old, but yeah, I know Fear.
So Fear was doing a they were doing, it was like an anniversary edition. They're basically doing a playthrough of their first record, The Record.
That's so cool.
So that's what they played. And then who else did I see that day? Oh, 7 Seconds played. I've never seen them before. That
Holy
was great.
crap.
That was
Giants.
such a good show.
Oh my gosh.
Such a good show.
Do you know how many bands basically ripped off 7 Seconds?
Oh man, so many.
I mean, they laid the blueprint for sure.
Yeah, so many. Bad Religion played, and
yeah, that's always a good show.
For me, really, that was the highlight of the whole weekend.
Yeah.
I've seen Bad Religion quite a few times. They never disappoint, and there were some technical issues going on during this set with the guitar, but you couldn't tell watching them. They're like just playing it off like professionals. And but aside from all that, they just put on a really great set. They never disappoint, and it seems like they're getting better as they age.
Oh my goodness, yeah, it's crazy.
So
I saw them a couple years back at the Pumpkin Drublick.
Oh yeah.
Maybe more than a couple years. It had to have been like 5 years ago, but I thought the same thing. I was like, holy cow, they're not slowing down at all. Like,
yeah,
just incredible.
Good stuff. So a couple of bands that I missed for various reasons. I wanted to see War on Women, but I didn't get to see them because there were two bands that I wanted to see that were playing practically at the same time. And I don't know if you've ever been to the Riot Fest in Chicago, but the park there is very huge, and the stages, understandably, are very spread out. So I went in with the intention of seeing War on Women because the other band that was playing at the same time I've seen before. But from where I was in the park, War on Women was a much longer walk. And by this time of the day, I was kind of exhausted and didn't really want to walk very far. Because I'm old and my knees are going bad and I just can't walk as much as I used to.
And that is like I don't know, people who haven't been there, but it's just it's a huge geography you're talking about
really
there.
It is. So I didn't get to see War on Women because the Menzingers were playing, and their stage was closer to where I was at.
That's a good band too, though. They've got the melodies.
They're good. The other band that I missed that I wanted to see, and the reason I missed them is because I forgot that they were playing, and I was roaming around the merchandise area, looking at, like, they had a bookstore there and a bunch of different clothing stores there, and it was a really cool little merch area. Punk Rock Saves Lives was there, and I kind of hung out with those guys for a while. They're really cool. But the band that I missed was Sunny Day Real Estate. And I'm kind of disappointed that I missed them. But yeah, they played. And then the headliner that evening was the Original Misfits. I don't want to be negative, so I'm not really going to talk about that set. I left early.
Hmm. It's too bad.
Yeah, I've seen the Misfits. I saw them with Michael Graves when he was singing for them, and then I also saw Danzig doing a solo performance with Doyle, and they did a Misfits set. But I'd never seen the original Misfits. But I mean, there was a lot of people there to see the Misfits, obviously.
Yeah.
But
You saw
let's
the
just
school hoodies and everything.
yeah. So let's just leave it as I was disappointed, and we'll just leave it at there. I don't want to talk about that because I don't want to be negative. But okay, so festivals. This is what we're talking locations. Festivals are a really fun type of venue, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They can be really fun, and you get to see so many different types of music at festivals. You know, a lot of festivals they just do lots of different types of genres. So you get to see a lot of different types of music and listen to bands that you may have never heard before. But then there's other festivals where it's like just specifically punk rock type stuff. So, have you been to a lot of festivals?
Yeah. So I like festivals for what you say, like what you just mentioned, that you can and to phrase the cost, right? Like there's no way you're gonna see like as many of the bands you want to see actually paying the full ticket price for their tour when they come through. But you can like go to one of these festivals and see like three of your favorite bands, right? And the total cost is less than if you went to see all three separately, you know?
Yeah.
So like that's one of the huge pros about it. So yeah, and I have a lot of stories from festivals, of course.
Yeah.
There's also some cons, like the bathrooms, the food.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. The food at Riot Fest was crazy expensive.
It's really expensive, and you get kind of not that great stuff most of the time.
Oh yeah. No, the quality was not good. No, the quality was not.
Like 7-Eleven level nachos and so forth.
You're eating stuff that really is not good for you.
It's unhealthy.
Yeah.
No, but it's good. I like festivals.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people too. Like if you're not a people person, I think festival's not your scene.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's a lot of people at those festivals, and yeah, when like for My Chemical Romance, that crowd was so huge. Like I would
oh my gosh,
almost go so far as to say that My Chemical Romance was too big for Riot Fest.
Wow. Still, or maybe
just,
because they haven't been together for a while.
That's why I think, because there were so many people that were there. Like the crowd on Saturday was much smaller than the crowd on Friday.
Oh wow! Okay.
But it was, gosh, man, the crowd for My Chemical Romance was so huge. But yeah, I think we've mentioned this on the show before, but you and I and Brant went to a festival back in like when was that? That was like 2004, the Mountain Dew Float Festival.
Isn't that a great name?
Yeah.
Was that like a root beer float but made with Mountain Dew?
Yes.
I can't remember having that, so it must not have been good.
No. I don't think I had one because I wasn't really a fan of Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
Looking back now, I can't have it now because I'm diabetic and
oh gosh,
you know, the ice
seriously,
cream would kill me. But yeah, there was some good bands. Emery was there. The Fighting Jacks. Those are the two bands. Number One Gun was there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was a good thing. But
I remember that festival as kind of what's the word for it? Like kind of malfunctioning. I don't know. I felt like whoever was running that maybe didn't quite have a full handle on running a festival would be
Yeah,
like.
I can see where you're going with that. It was like the bands that were playing there that we went and saw were good, but it just seems like the
Yeah.
setup was off. And it was a weird location too.
Like I have good memories of going there, right? And like
Yeah.
because it was a smaller festival,
Yeah.
which obviously doesn't even exist anymore, um, there was much more just like ability to just go hang out with the bands, and they were all just
Right.
hanging out, which is you don't get that very
Yeah.
often.
Yeah. I
Um,
remember
yeah,
specifically you and I were talking with the singer guitar player from Fighting Jacks for a while.
quite a
And
while, yeah.
he was a really cool guy.
And Emory, nicest people too. I
Yeah.
think only like 2/3 of Emory was there though. It was like they performed as a trio or a quartet, and
Yeah.
usually there's like 7 of them or something.
Okay, I do remember that because I remember the Emery set being a little weird.
It was a little weird, yeah.
Yeah, because we'd seen them before at, well, now it's called, I think it's still called El Corazon
Yeah, that's
in
what it's called.
Seattle,
Yep.
but
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what it was called at the time because it had a different name.
Well, so it's gone through iterations, right? But 3 of the names it has had was Graceland, which is probably what it was called then.
Might have been.
And then before that, it's called the Off Ramp.
Okay, it was not the off ramp. It must have been Graceland.
Yeah.
Graceland sounds familiar. But yeah, I saw some good bands there. That was a good venue. You know what's a cool venue, and a lot of people kind of put it off? House shows.
Oh, I was going to bring this up. I'm glad
Yeah.
you did. That's my favorite, honestly.
House shows are great. So the very first band I was ever in was called ABF, and the first show we played was a house show. But if you remember, the first show that Otisburg played was a house show.
Also a house show, yeah.
Yes, our band Otisburg played Your House, the one in Green Lake. And
I think it was a little small of a house for a house show. I just remember how people were like crowded as far away from where the band was playing as possible, because I think we were just blasting them out of the room.
Yeah, but everybody that was there enjoyed it. I just have fond memories of that specific house show.
Oh, that was so good.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
It was fun.
I mean, I think anytime you just get friends and friends of friends together, it could be a backyard, a basement, a living room, you playing shows. And I've always liked, I even like other venues where like there's not a stage so much, like another type of venue that's like that, where the audience is level to the band, is usually like an Elks Lodge or something of that nature.
Yeah,
just a VA hall, and you just rent it and go have a show. Like you don't need anything more than that for a good show.
Yeah.
Just good bands, good friends, and a space.
Yep. Good stuff. Yeah. So house shows are a lot of fun. What you were going to mention house shows? What were you going to talk about there?
Just wanted to, mention that's my favorite. Like,
yeah,
I think all my best show memories are from house shows.
Nice. Yeah, those are. I've got good memories of that. I don't have a good memory of the very first house show that I played with the band ABF. It was a nightmare. I remember we were getting beer thrown at us.
Oh my god!
And it was not. They weren't being mean. They were just. It was.
Could be a sign of endearment, right?
Yeah, it was. They were doing it because they were. It was like it was a thing that they did, and the reason why it turned into a nightmare is the singer caught a can of beer and took a drink, not realizing that somebody had put their cigarette back in it, and so he had to stop. He had to stop doing the thing, and me and the other guy are just still sitting there playing, and it's like okay, what happened? And then we see him like
That's hilarious.
we see him leave the quote unquote stage area and walk off into the kitchen, and his head is down in the sink, and it's like, what's going on? And so after that
So
song was
gross.
done, it was like, what happened? And he told us, and it's like, oh crap. But I remember like, so I was playing guitar in this band, and I remember like every couple of throws, a beer bottle or a beer can would hit my hands and they'd fall off the guitar and
Oh,
or off the
that'd be
fretboard.
rough.
And being a relatively new guitar player at the time, and at that time, it's like I don't really know what I'm doing that well. And I'm having to watch my hands, and I have to pay attention to what I'm doing. And as soon as my hands fall off the fretboard, I'm like, oh crap, where are we at?
Oh no.
So it was just messy.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah, but yeah, man, that house show with Otisburg, I really do have fond memories of it. It was a fun show.
Very cool. Well, yeah, I maybe have more on this topic. Maybe we should play a couple more tracks here.
Yeah, I was gonna say we need to play some more music. yeah, we've got a lot more to say about venues, because we've got some discussions about bad shows, or bad venues rather.
For sure.
But let's go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and introduce the next song?
Yeah, so this came up in my Bandcamp feed, released September 18th. And I was like, no way, this can't be. Someone did a full album cover of D.D. King's 1989 release, Standing in the Spotlight. If you don't know, D.D. King was the pseudonym that Dee Dee Ramone used for his so-called rap career. And this is an album that's been kind of universally shunned. But I think it's really funny and kind of cool that someone covered it. So we're going to play this track here. It's by an artist named Jeff Palmer, and this is D.D. King's song, Poor Little Rich Girl.
Don't take away her whiskey, don't take away her ride. Just show you her fangs and spit in your eye. Poor little rich girl, a hopeless case. Everything she does is in bad taste. You can find her on her favorite bar stool, drinking with the guys and no
was Poor Little Rich Girl by Jeff Palmer, cover song of D.D. King. So Steve, you know what? I never actually listened to the album that this is a cover of, because I always heard it was terrible. So I was like, I'm not gonna listen to it. But actually, it's pretty good. I think it's really fun. I don't know. Have you heard the album?
I have not heard the original album.
It's better than it's billed as. It's like kind of billed as like, a big failure after he left the Ramones, but it's got like some doo-wop elements I like.
Yeah. So, where's this guy from? He's from.
So Jeffrey Palmer. He's from Rochester, New Hampshire, U.S.
Okay, because when I pulled up the Bandcamp, it said Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I don't really. I think maybe that's where he lives now. It also says in the bio from Rochester, so maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
And so, yeah. So I've heard some of Dee Dee Ramone's solo stuff, not the rap one. And this song does sound like something that came from Dee Dee Ramone.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. It sounds very similar to stuff that I've heard.
Yeah, and he did this cover album straight. Like, you know how some people take liberties with their covers? This one's pretty close.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
One thing that's cool about it is that Dee Dee Ramone's widow, Vera Ramone, actually gave her full blessing on this cover album, and there's even a little quote from her, just kind of endorsing it, saying how nice it is that someone finally covered this album.
Yeah. That's cool. Okay, so what do we have next? Next, we are playing a band called The Red Shift. They are from Detroit, Michigan, and they put out an album last year. This is an older album. Actually, not the oldest we're going to play today, but the album was called Revolution or Bust, released January 2021. And the name of the song is Call the Mercenaries. So here you go.
Maybe you can hire the government that sells
Call the Mercenaries by the Red Shift.
Now that band's got a good rhythm section.
Yeah, they do.
I could hear the bassist and drummer playing around with that so much.
Yeah, they've got I mean, basically just kind of a political protest type band. But they've got a good feel. I like the feel of the song, and
Did you catch that little bass run kind of near the end in the bridge there? They're kind of like bringing it out to an outro. It's just like got that little do 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 do.
yeah,
That's pretty cool.
They had pretty cool little bass line going on there. Well, let's play another song. I think we've got another song coming up here.
Oh, awesome! We can just keep rolling through the set here.
Yeah,
we're gonna do the Noodle Brain. All right. This next band. This is a band with a split release just out. They did a split with Grim Deeds, and this is a song that they put on it from Noodle Brain called Crush. Check it out. So that was Noodle Brain with the song Crushed off their latest release, which is a split with Grim Deeds. And this band's pretty new, Steve. I think they started releasing stuff on Bandcamp just at the end of 21.
Yeah.
And it says they're from Illinois. Maybe they're from around your neck of the woods, but I couldn't find the specific town that they're from.
Yeah, interesting that you bring that up, because I was like, when I first started listening to this, I'm like, man, this has got like a huge like copyrights vibe to it.
It's true, yeah. I
And,
mean,
like,
perhaps
yeah.
they're related somehow.
Yeah, so I was like looking at where they're from, and it said just Illinois, and I couldn't find the city either. So I'm like, well, I wonder where in Illinois they're from, because the copyrights are actually from Southern Illinois, from a town called Carbondale. So I'm just wondering, either they took influence from the copyrights, or that's like a Southern Illinois sound. I don't know. But I liked it. I liked it because, I mean, I of course am a big fan of the copyrights. And I just, yeah, I could definitely hear the copyrights influence here. And actually maybe a little bit of an influence from the methadones as well.
Oh yeah, totally. It definitely it lives in that space. Methadones, copyrights, Teenage Bottle Rocket.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, if you really think about it, the copyrights are hugely influenced by the methadones anyway. At least that's how I feel.
That's how I see it.
But yeah,
this is the band that Cody from Teenage Bottle Rocket had before, like Lillington?
The Lillingtons.
Yeah.
The Lillingtons. Yeah, good stuff. And those guys are from Wyoming, so it's not a location thing at all.
No, I guess not.
But yeah, I like these guys. I'm gonna check out the rest of the split, and I'm gonna see what else they have released. Because I think this is a band I could probably get into.
Yeah,
I like
cool.
them. I like them. So the next song we are going to play is from a band out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Interestingly enough, they are called the Bloody Pickups. And this is just a single that they released back in July. And it is called The Ghosts of Ukraine. So here it is.
War crimes in real time.
Right. That was the Ghost of Ukraine by the Bloody Pickup. Or it's the Bloody Pickups. Crap, now I don't remember.
It's the
Bloody
Bloody
Pickups.
Pickups.
Yeah,
But that one
it's
wins the band
plural.
name of the day for sure,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
plural. Yeah, that's a good good band name.
Love that. So these guys are from Grand Rapids there.
Grand Rapids, yeah. Yeah, local guys, at least for me. What do you think?
Oh yeah. So there's so many things I want to say. So that's good writing. The transition from the verse to the chorus is really interesting, and it's not the same every time. I don't know if you picked that up. They did it a little different, and I think is there a key change there? Like I can't tell what they're doing exactly. I need to listen back a little more.
I think so.
It's really interesting that they chose to, but it works so well. Like that they chose to put that chorus with that verse. It's from a composition standpoint. But I also wanted to say I love the guitar tone when the solo comes in.
Yeah,
and just
guitar player is definitely yeah, he's good. I like him. Good stuff. So look forward to hearing more from those guys.
Are they playing shows you can go to?
Yeah, they were actually doing a show the weekend of Riot Fest, so I did not get to see that one. But I think they have another one coming up this month, sometime in October. So I'm trying to try to catch that. I think there's a show coming up this week. I want to say it's Agent Orange, but I'm pretty sure that the Bloody Pickups are playing sometime this month, and I will confirm that, and I will put it on our Radio Unfriendly Twitter.
Awesome.
And so kind of
if any of y'all listening are out around the Grand Rapids area, go check that out.
Definitely. And speaking of the social media, if you are one of those Twitter types that likes to get on there, you can find Radio Unfriendly at Punk Rock Podcast. And we are also on Facebook, and that is also at Punk Rock Podcast, because apparently we couldn't use Radio Unfriendly. I don't know what was up with that. Anyway, so let's continue our discussion about venues. What are some other venues? Of course, you've got club shows.
Right. That's kind of the standard show everybody thinks of, probably.
Yeah.
You got an all ages club.
Right.
Somewhere.
Yeah, all ages, and then bar shows. And then you have arena shows, which
yes.
I haven't really seen a whole lot of arena shows. I used to watch a lot of those in the late 80s, possibly the early 90s, but I think it was in the early 90s where I started going to clubs instead.
I don't think I like arena shows so much.
No,
I start to get annoyed at like hearing slapback at festivals, but in arenas, it's just like almost part of the sound even. Like the sound of the band bouncing back to you from the back of the arena like 2 seconds later or more.
Arena shows just seem very like complete opposite of intimate.
Oh yeah. And then there's the whole like arena rock thing where it's just toxic machoism. What's the word for that?
No, that sounds about right.
It kind of became part of the culture there somehow, and it's not
arena shows just aren't my gig. Yeah, not my thing. Club shows are fun. Club shows are good. Not nearly as fun per se as house shows, but they take a good close second. And And I'm not sure about you. I would imagine the same, but I think club shows are probably where I've seen 90%, if not more, of the shows that I've been to in my life.
Oh yeah, easily. Same here. And I'm in Seattle and I've been here at least 20 years at this point. There's kind of a couple venues that do punk rock shows, and they're at least regularly, and that still exist.
Yeah.
And they're both clubs. We mentioned El Corazon. The other one is Studio 7.
Mhm.
And they're about the right size. Like, I think you can max fit in a couple hundred people.
Yeah.
And so it kind of like, when a band gets bigger than that, it goes to some place like the Showbox. But it's always not, like you say, the intimacy then starts to be lost after that point, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
I think as far as Seattle goes, El Corazon was probably my favorite club venue.
It's very iconic for this area. I mean, Pearl Jam played there, Mudhoney.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's kind of this long running venue, and it's really awkward in there. It's got a super low ceiling. There's a pole right down the middle of the stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people recognize it.
Yeah.
Very much so.
But I went to a lot of shows there, and there were some other clubs that I went to, both with and without you. But I'd have to
song with or without you.
Yeah, but I think El Corazon is probably my favorite of those.
Yeah. So since we're on the topic of El Corazon, and you had mentioned your nightmare at ABF show.
Oh man,
I had a nightmare show at El Corazon. I kind of want to tell about.
Oh man, go ahead.
So this wasn't. I wasn't playing. I went to help some friends out. So I was in this other band for a while called Fall City Shakedown in mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't even remember the name of this other band, but my guitarist had a friend, like our band's guitarist, who was starting up like a Nirvana-esque band. And so, like, as we would often do, we would kind of help them load in and out and like try to promote their show and like, do for them what they did for us also. Just kind of what you do in a scene. And we got to El Corazon. We load them in. It was an off night. Like, it was like probably like a Monday night, and no one goes out on a Monday night in Seattle, at least. So it's basically just us and their other friends watching them play in this big venue that could fit probably 300 people. I don't know, 200 to 300 people is my guess. And so they're playing their stuff and they're rocking out, and some of their friends got really into it. So people are getting casual, drink a couple drinks, and one of their friends jumps up on the stage with them for this song. Apparently he's very much into, and he's just moshing on the stage. Well, the singer and guitarist for this band, he's kind of stuck to the microphone, playing and singing the chorus there. So he can't really like turn to see what this other guy's doing. And this other guy is just going crazy, like windmilling his arms. He turns around and bumps straight into the back of the singer. He then proceeds to topple forward off the stage. And you can see he's making this choice between like saving himself or his guitar. So he chooses his guitar. He like embraces the guitar and tries to roll so that the guitar doesn't smash to the concrete floor below, and instead smashes his head straight into the floor. And instantly, like, this bloom of blood just pours down from the crown of his head. And he's kind of dazed, but he's also like realizes he's in the middle of the song. So he just keeps going.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody's horrified at that point. And we, like, no one knows what to do exactly. But the sound guy who worked at El Corazon runs up on stage to where the guy who just knocked his own friend down is standing there kind of in shock, looking down at the blood. And he starts to fight him. he's like pushing him, he punches him, and he's like yelling at him. And we were all like, oh my gosh, what's going on? We were further stunned. And so he like wraps up this guy and drags him away. And like everyone's like, no, they're friends. Like it was totally an accident. It's okay. And even the singer, he's like, don't worry about it. It's okay. But it was just like this, I'd say, domino effect of emotion and bad stuff. I guess he went to the hospital later and had like 10 stitches or something like that.
Dang. I mean, it also seems like the sound guy kind of took it.
Oh yeah, I think
blew it out of proportion almost.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it was like, okay, bygones and bygones and so forth.
Yeah.
But it was, no one knew what was going on for a while there.
So that wasn't necessarily a nightmare for you performing, but have you had any of those?
Yeah, I was gonna say we've had the thing where people are throwing stuff at us.
Yeah.
We went and played a metal show once. We were not a metal band, so it was so funny. Like the singer of that band said to me later, did you notice how like all the dudes were throwing stuff at us, crossing their arms and scowling, but all their girlfriends were into our music? And I was like, oh, okay. That's when you're just trying to get through a set when stuff's getting thrown at you and you're trying to play all these parts on your guitar. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had a couple of those nightmare places where like you just, as a performer, you just like, man, I will never play there again. And but there was this one venue, I won't mention the name, but it was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it was one of those. It was a bar for one, so it wasn't all ages, but it was one of those where they didn't really have a stage area per se. They just kind of cleared out a corner, and it was level to the audience, which is fine. That's not the bad part, but the area, it was just so small. At the band I was in at the time, it was Get Fired, but it was the lineup of Get Fired that consisted of 5 people. And this little corner would have been fine if your band had been like a trio. But 5 people, it was just too tight, and the sound was horrible. It was like, I don't even know if it was a real PA. Like he had like this bar, the owner had a sound system that he would pump like the jukebox, not necessarily the jukebox, but like a stereo through. So the sound was horrible, and there were no monitors. And like anytime you, as a performer, you go up to a place and a bar or a club or whatever, and realize that there's no monitors, and like right off the bat, this is not going to go well.
You're in for a rough ride.
Yeah, because if you've got no monitors, you can't hear yourself. So as a singer, that is very difficult, because then you end up not being able to hear yourself over the instruments. So you don't know if you're singing loud enough, and you either just say screw it, or you scream and blow out your voice.
That's what usually happens, I think.
Yeah, that's usually what happens. Yeah, especially with me.
And the audience can't even hear you anyway. So
right,
in a situation like that.
Yeah, and the sound was so bad, it didn't matter if I screamed or not. They didn't hear me. So it was just a horrible venue, and one of those that like at the end of the show, me and the guitar player were both like, yeah, we're never playing there again. And
Oh,
Like the
man.
drummer was like, man, I loved that place. And I'm like, are you kidding? But yeah, there's good clubs and there's bad clubs. And
You know, I gotta say something here. There's something that really surprised me. I had the fortunate or unfortunate, whatever, depending on your perspective, experience of having been a performer both before no smoking laws and after. And before then, like you'd go to a bar or club and everybody's smoking. The air just kind of collects with cigarette smoke throughout the night. And if you're singing, like usually you're just croaking by the end of it. And I I don't know how I never really noticed that. But after the laws went into effect in this area, no one could smoke inside anymore. It was so much of a better experience. Like actually performing a show would be like, oh, I can breathe just fine. I'm not coughing anything up afterwards. I can talk still. I don't know if you had that experience, Steve, but that was really
oh,
interesting to me.
oh yeah, like smoking venues are definitely not as pleasant.
Yeah.
Um, there was
In this area, there's no such thing. I don't know if you know that they kind of outlawed smoking inside
um,
completely.
well, so far I've only been to one venue here in Michigan, and it it did not allow smoking. So
Yeah.
I'm going to guess that it's the same thing.
But it
Um,
is so much nicer for the performers for sure.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Even if they do smoke, I mean, it's like you I don't know how many packs of cigarettes that's equivalent to smoking, but the second hand gets
Yeah.
pretty intense. Yeah.
Um, I mean, and as a spectator, there are bad venues too. Um, there's one. There's one in Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, that for some reason a lot of people really love. Like it's a very popular venue there, but for me, it's one of those venues that, like, when I hear a band that I really want to see is playing there, it's kind of like, oh man, why there? Because it's just a weird venue. Like they have a stage area, but there are like these poles right in the middle of the viewing area.
Yeah,
And
it's never good.
aside from the venue like being really small, like the venue itself is really small anyway, and it's a bar. Um, it's just not a pleasant viewing experience. But so yeah, as both a performer and a spectator, there are bad venues. Um, but there's definitely no shortage of good venues out there to go watch shows. So if you are, a fan of music, definitely go and attend and show your support to these smaller venues.
Yeah, it's really
Um,
important. Like this is it's important for the band, for like where you live, for a lot of other parallel industries too, like audio engineers, the merch people, like supporting bands and shows is the direct way that you can skip the corporations and make something real that's local to you.
for sure, for sure. Cool.
Awesome.
So why don't we go ahead and play our next song?
Oh yeah, oh,
I
this
think
is
that's
me,
all we I
huh?
think that's all we have to say about venues, really.
For now, at least.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so changing gears quite a bit here. I've got another, and it seems like I work one of these into every one of our playlists, but another joke song here for you. Um, got a really fun story about the band behind this one that I'll tell you after we hear it. But it's called Grey Poupon by the band Killing Younglings. So give it a listen.
Right.
Got in my car the other day, told my butler where I was on my way. Hit a red light and a man next to me rolled down my window, and this is what I see. Why me, son, you have to move on. I need these from my son, or I can't go on. Why me, son, you have to move on. I need these from my son, or I can't go on. Son, you have to move on. I need these from my son, or I can't go on. Why me, son, you have to move on. I need these from my son, or I can't go on. Woke up in a sawmill. Next day, broke my mouth, got in my face, up my eyes, and what do I see? That's just not going to cut the mustard, I'm afraid. What do you mean? What do you want? What do you want from me? Just let it go, do whatever you want.
That's Killing Younglings out of Columbus, Indiana. Looks like we're hitting the middle of the country here really well so far.
Yeah, yeah, that was fun. That was a fun song.
It's just some goofy fun. So one of the funny things about this band is that it's not even a real band. So there's apparently something called a random band challenge, which happens every year. I don't know if it's in Columbus, Indiana, or on the internet or what, but basically random people get paired together and they have to form a band and write some songs. And that's what this is. That's what this release called Welcome to the Cornfields came out of that. And so you can find that out on Bandcamp. The band's name is Killing Younglings. Pretty funny.
So this is a pretty recent release as far from what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I think this is also another September release here.
Yeah, very cool. Good stuff. Go check them out. Random band challenge. That sounds very interesting.
I kind of want to do it now, but I don't.
Yeah, kind of. So our last song for this episode is an older one, but it's just a band that I don't think a lot of people have heard of, and I really want to get their name out there because I really enjoy them. They are based out of Belgium, and they are called FOD. Back in November of 2020, they released a phenomenal album on Thousand Island Records called Sleepville, or actually maybe it was called Welcome to Sleepville. Man, now I don't remember. The band no, it was just called Sleepville. Anyway, so this is one of the songs off of that album. It is called Food for Thought. So here it is.
Sure, you can be proud of the place you were born. There's no point being fundamental or irrationally proud of the soil you walk upon. Excessively overblown and sentimental. Just a little knowledge of the world makes you wiser
lost it somehow.
No, it cuts off into the next song.
Oh, the
on
way
the
they
album.
sequence that is a different way, huh?
Yeah. So I had a
Ah,
really
I
hard
wondered about
time.
that.
Like I knew I wanted to play a song from this album, but I had a really hard time deciding which one.
Yeah.
Because the album is Sleepville. It's just really good. And really any song off of this one would have been a good one to play. But I went ahead and chose this one. But yeah, they're from Belgium. And I'm pretty sure this is the last album that they have released.
It's really, I wanted to say, it's really interesting. The unique thing going on here for me is the melody and the way they wrote the words too. Like, man, I don't know exactly how to describe it. They're definitely putting their own signature on that because it's not like exactly symmetrical. Like a lot of punk bands, they'll write a good melody, but every line's kind of symmetrical, right? Like it's the same meter and the same number of syllables.
So
and they kind of work that out of this, and just kind of like there's a good message here in the lyrics, and they just kind of like sing through the lyrics, and it fits really well, and it catches the ear really pleasantly too. I don't know. I just like that.
Yes, very pleasant sounding. When I first started hearing this band, this is the one I actually mentioned this. I think I mentioned this on the last episode. This is the band that I kept getting mixed up with Flatliners.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure why. Maybe it was just the F at the beginning of the name. But I'd have to say these two bands are both really good. But FOD is a really good band, and Sleepville is an amazing album, probably one of my favorites. And now you guys have had a chance to hear FOD.
Loved it.
But that is it for tonight, or for this episode. So thanks everybody for listening to another episode of Radio Unfriendly. And why don't you go ahead and take us out, Scott?
Thanks everybody. Support local music, and definitely give everybody on the playlist today a check out. You can always find out the links to their songs and releases in any of the places where we publish this podcast under show notes, or by going to radiounfriendly.com. Thanks, everybody.